Politics of Party, where we go behind the music, behind the trussing, behind the microphones and the iconic sets, behind the mind-blowing performances, behind the madness, to talk about what keeps the industry alive. Who is it built on? The Carnival economy isn't just about vibes, it's about vision. Join us as we unmask the industry in the Politics of Party. On today's episode of the Politics of Party, DJ Private Ryan, DJ International Stephen, and today we are in the Carnival University.
Well, I started DJing from childhood, from time I could remember, actually playing around my father's record collection and teaching myself how to mix. And then, because I'm self-taught, so I just understood the concept of mixing from just listening to the radio. It's like, oh, this is 4 bars, this is how you mix. This has to go slower, this has to go faster. So fast forward to going into high school and being able to play in the popular clubs at the time, which was bass and nuts and those things as a teenager. So
you've been playing music since then. So when you were 14, 15, you were already
I was already in the game. I was already in the clubs.
Were you Private Ryan even then?
Well, again to that. So because I was the #1 young recruit at the time for bass, they were doing an ad and Hyper Hopper, who's Hoppy of Radioactive fame, needed to name me something. It's like, yo, you like the #1 recruit. You're like Private Ryan.
Right.
And then, so he gave me the name, and I then built everything around that. At the time, I had a sound system called Detrimental as well, too. So we used to play, people don't know, there's a lot of things. I was also on the radio, 96.1, the era of jugglers. I was actually one of the DJs. I was on the Saturday morning, but I wasn't announced officially, but I was there with them.
How old were you when that was happening?
Yeah, I was still in St. Mary's. I was still in high school.
And your parents were cool with you working and being a part of this?
Their main thing was stay focused, keep educated, and they always supported my music. So even when I went to college, it was get your degree, and at the side I was, touring the circuit. There was a time when, the circuit has exploded now with a lot of DJs, but at the time...
You're saying the circuit. What was the circuit back then?
They had a college circuit, so I would do things like Howard Homecoming. I would play for Atlanta parties. I would do Miami. I'll do New York. I'll do the Carnival. So I saw the rise of Jamaica Carnival from then to now. I was part of the early headlining phases in Barbados with parties like Sailor V and other signature events. So I played for a lot of signature events around the Caribbean and in the US. And then I saw my peers all start to appear around me from Stephen and I, who became friends, and DJ Puffy, Ryan Saeed, Barry. I then started to see those guys after, and then I brought them into my ecosystem now, which you see that they're into, the parties that I throw and all those things too. So it's been out really.
Well, my dad and my uncle were DJs, they used to do the Cove. Long Shagaramas.
Okay.
So
that's real old school.
They were like the house DJs at the Cove. So coming up as a kid, Dad always had turntables home similar to Ryan. And I remember, I migrated at a pretty young age to America, about 9. And then I came back at around 16, 17 and spent a year or two with my dad, and that was it. I remember trying to blend the same songs with one turntable and my PlayStation. Right at the time, so I had to time that delay to make the song start and then use the record on one other side, and from there I just had a fascination with it. When I went back to Georgia now, I linked up with this sound crew called Ibis because my mom realized I was really into this music thing, and I hated leaving New York to go to Georgia because we migrated to New York. I left all my friends in New York, so she was like, all right, let me find something for you to do so you're not mad at me. Got me in with Ibis International, and that was it. After 1 year, I think I started winning the local DJ competitions, and then the rest is history, man. Just started traveling everywhere. I think for me, it was soca from start, right? For me, I just had access to all the little Caribbean parties that used to happen in Atlanta. There's a place called the Panyard and the bookstore. Those were the 2 key venues that they would hold these little parties. Panyard was just a little house, out in the bushes somewhere that, the Trinis would come together and just throw a little party every other weekend. And I'm talking about 300 people, not much. That's max. And same thing with the bookstore. So I was always into the soca. They always kept me in that circuit. I didn't start branching out into other genres until I started to get popular and actually traveling. You know, when started traveling, then I realized, okay, I needed to kind of now expand a little bit. I started getting booked on events that were not predominantly soca, and like 426 in these places. And when you do that now, and I was getting so popular that the DJs before me, and Ryan deals with this all the time, the DJs before me wanted to play out everything that they thought I would play. So now I had to start coming and diversifying my craft and my sets and everything like that. So that's how I got into other genres, but I always kept a base of soca.
So it's been how many years for you in this DJ business, in this music business, Ryan? How many?
Funny enough, it could be like about 30 years. And if I think about it, 30 years. And I never really celebrated it, but if I
And,
think
and, and
about
so
it.
now this is the moment for us to celebrate it because you guys are the veterans of the
something.
industry.
I even think of myself as a veteran, you know.
Yes.
Because not yet, you know. There's still so much to do in my head. You know, the funny thing is, like, you live in the future, like you're creating in the present what you're living in the future. That's how I operate. And I remember my days, because, you know, funny enough, just to piggyback off what he said. So I was the opposite. I branded myself the most versatile DJ in the world because I like to play different things. So my real strength is actually playing all genres.
Yeah.
And in college, it was, you know, when I was there, I played in hip hop, all hip hop clubs. I played in dancehall parties, and they was like, "Who's this Trini?" And then when I played soca, it's like, I can do what y'all could do, but y'all can't do what I can.
Yes.
That was always my
your
thing. So
unique value
so
proposition.
that's
for
how I
soca.
started to rub shoulders with even some
Right.
of the prominent Jamaican DJs. So like I would play alongside Walshy and Black Chinese and Jazzy T of Renaissance and all the hip hop, then the Haitian, and then I was in college surrounded by people who would just teach me things. Hey, you know, you should play this Haitian track, you should do this, you should do that, and then I just knowledge. So now when I go in different scenarios, you know, I could just literally just adapt it. And but on the other side, I've always rooted and always represented my culture and soca, and everything I created for that was because I realized that there was a void. And so I wanted to represent and elevate the soca scene as well too.
You know, it's good that you said that because, Stephen, I want to jump to you now. What do you think is the level of acceptance that exists globally now for soca music? And how, as a DJ, are you contributing to the rise of the genre globally?
I mean, I think soca is being accepted in a lot of places. You know, you can see that by, you know, now more than ever, you will find like Jamaicans used to hate soca music. We don't want to hear that. Now, some of the biggest fans of soca in the feds is Jamaicans. You know what I mean? And it's crossing a lot of borders. You have a lot of different people coming into the culture now and accepting it. I feel like, you know, we're on the right track. You know, even the quality of the music this year, the type of stuff that's being produced and put out, you know, it's on another level. I feel like we're getting there. We're knocking on the door, you know, and we're constantly experimenting and doing things. You know, even Ryan with Battalion Music is creating a unique sound that is being accepted in different parts of the world, and I'm sure he sees that with his streams. You know, so as much as now he might not get all the hype and love here, when Ryan looks at his streams, I sure like Australia and these places is like big on supporting it. You know what I mean? So I think, you know, we're heading in the right direction. For me, my part to play in that is really just to kind of connect the dots, continue to merge things together, continue to collaborate with different producers, with different sounds, different artists, songwriters, put it all together so that, you know, it's palatable across the board.
So let's go back a little bit. Who was the first person that gave you your forward?
Forward? That's an interesting question because to me, my recollection of it is that I had to work for everything that I had. So like from teaching myself to DJ, nobody said, "Hey, do this." I taught myself. Then getting into the club circuit, maybe I'll give, as I said, hype hop. Well, I'll give him that because he gave me the name, and he also vouched for me to play in Bass nightclub the first time I did. And from there, I was able to, because I was given the opportunity to prove myself, and that opened the doors for everything. So I'll give him that respect.
Yeah,
Stephen, who gave you a forward? Who is the
right.
forward man?
I'll give you two separate sides, right? On the side of a DJ, I'll give it to Marlon Paul Whiteman, rest in peace, Soca Viber. He took me from, he just saw talent in me at a young age. You know, I was in Miami. This was like my second year in Miami, and I was just kind of, you know, networking with everybody. And I remember my old manager at the time, she met with him and kind of just introduced me and whatnot. and gave him one of my CDs. He listened to the CD, and I was playing on radio in Atlanta at the time, and he ended up messaging her and saying, yeah, the kid got some talent, I want to work with him. And he put me on Soca Viva. And what Marlon did for me, he really drilled me, right? Because at the time, I didn't know how to speak on the mic.
Right, so he was the practice guy.
Yeah, he not just that, he also put me on, Soca Viva was the biggest events in Miami at the time. So he put me on the biggest flag party. I'm getting featured on the big events.
And what year was that?
Boy,
Yeah.
can't remember.
We're going back in the archives.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's some years ago. It's about 15 years, I'd say. And I would say that was really one of my true first big breaks. From that, I got to meet Kerwin, Marshall, all of that in that same circuit from Marlon, right? Because Marshall was doing all his Soca Vibe events at that time. He was still doing Flag Night with him. They were partnered up to do it, and so they had a close relationship. And I got to my first linking up with Marshall was in Miami around that time. I think Wasi was a part of that too, which has definitely helped me as well with that same connection. So big up Wasi, big up Marlon. Well, yeah, for sure. They definitely supported, giving me that forward at that time. Right? This young kid got talent. Boom, we're gonna put him on. We're gonna groom him. Boom. On the flip side now, on the events promotion side, my forward came from Iowa George.
Yeah,
Iowa,
talk to me about Iowa.
Yeah, Iowa kind of he gave me my first boat ride opportunity, especially in Trinidad, and from there, he kind of guided me through it and told me what to do. And the first one was such a score. I was like, whoa, I can make some good money from this, and the rest is history.
Follow us at the Politics of Party on YouTube, Instagram, and join the conversation on TikTok. We're going to talk a little bit about the business of soca and the business of Carnival and how that has changed, because you say 30 years in the business, Stephen. I'm thinking you're about the same, eh?
I'm about 23.
What is the word that you have for people about the business of Carnival globally, not just here in Trinidad? Because it's a
the business of Carnival is not just in the literal sense of just the music. So there's the artists, there's the DJs, there's event producers, but there's an ecosystem that fuels all those things. There's the people who have to run the marketing, the social media, merch design, procurement. There's so many different aspects of visuals, which is huge now too. There's so many things that you can get into and can make a living off of because of how Carnival has expanded throughout, not just in Trinidad as a thing, but now it's throughout the world. Yeah. So there are opportunities to work in different things. So for a young person, I would say it's not necessarily being or trying to be the artist. It is the ecosystem that then supports the success of enterprises, events, artists, everything. Because people like Steve and myself are always looking for people. We need artwork, we need merch, we need even people who are engineers. Some people who are great engineers to help us get the best products in terms of the music and stuff. So the decor, which is
decor is massive, right? And we are the best, and we are the best at it. Yeah, because your events are known for the beautiful decor. Your festivals are known for that.
So it's a lot of different things. So but the work ethic is important. The talent could be there, but the work ethic has to be there. The hours that go into creating successful end products, people don't see that part. So you can be as talented as you want, but you may stay in your room talented if you don't have the work ethic to really get there with us. And don't be afraid to start small as well. You can't. Some people try to jump all these steps. You have to get paid.
Yeah, you do.
I would kind of piggyback on that as well too, Ryan. I think I agree with that. I would say more directly, if you want to get into it, just take it serious. Take it serious, because it's I see in the near future a Carnival University, because it's so many different aspects of this thing. Like you could teach, and you could earn a major living. People are living great lives off of Carnival and soca right now. You know what I mean? So but take it serious. Whatever you decide to do, whether it's DJing. You have to really, really invest into your craft. Learn about it, study the industry, study the history of it. Just take it serious and put in the work, man. That's the main thing I would say, because I experience a lot of people that just kind of want to do it for a hobby, and then when they get in a position where now they're getting the opportunities, they fall short, or they crawl up under a rock because it's now too much pressure. Take it serious.
So, I mean, that's interesting because a big part of the politics of party is to dig into those intersections between society, perception, and the business of this, what I call the carnival industrial complex. Why is it that we have this perception that soca, our culture, and carnival is a hobbyist thing as opposed to something serious? You guys are the vanguard of this industry, and you've shown people how possible it is to do very, very well. Why is it that we still, especially in Trinidad, look at this thing like as a big joke? What is the reason for that? You guys are in it. I'm confused by it. So
I think because of the seasonal nature of it, they treat us as a season as opposed to a year-long enterprise, right? So when that's baked into your mentality, they treat it as a hustle as opposed to a business. And sometimes when you don't have world scope and you don't see what opportunities lie beyond even these shores, which is why carnivals have now taken off. So look at what's happened with Carnival. Carnival in Trinidad was considered the mecca, but now some people are actually already saying it's not anymore, because now what we have and what we may have taken for granted has been exported to Jamaica. It's gone to other places in the US. It has gone. Other carnivals have now risen in popularity that are putting work into their product. Yes. So people are looking at it as alternatives. You understand? How do we treat our steel pan? How do we treat our cultural icons? There are a lot of different things we could go down and we could list in terms of the appreciation and also exportation of the product of carnival that people looking in say, you all have it, and us here we take it for granted. So there's a lot to see, and then even in terms of investing in the youth, we have great megastars in Marshall and Kess and Bungie and them, but we also need to invest in what's next, because we will find an aging artist, an aging genre without the fresh take of the youth, and that is what creates new sound. That's what creates continuity. That's what creates the future. And that goes across the spectrum, not just the artists. Even in terms of new ways to play the pan, new ways to design. Like everything needs to be in motion. We can't gatekeep so much and that you lose it.
Soca Brainwash is one of the most fantastic events that I have been to. It is sometimes, flawless. There's nothing to complain about at a Soca Brainwash, and that's something that is difficult to achieve.
There's one thing we can't make this finish fast.
Say that again? Yeah, so and that's hilarious, because if you're not a Trini, you're not really gonna know. We have this thing where we eat corned beef and rice, and the longest line in Soca Brainwash is corned beef and rice. I have been in that line more than once. I'm not ashamed to say it. That's a real thing.
We need more corned beef
and rice.
Not just one stall. We need a couple of stalls for corned beef and rice.
And you need to diversify what you put. It can't just be corned beef and rice. You need some cricks in there.
I have a new thing this year that's coming with the corned beef. Yeah, you'll see it.
This is the Politics of Party at Deckies. One would replace Port of Spain. We are going to take a break now, and we'll be right back. Follow us at the Politics of Party on YouTube, Instagram, and join the conversation on TikTok. Yes, today DJ International Steven and Private Ryan. We are at Deckies in One Woodbrook Place. What is, first, Ryan, for you, your most challenging event ever in your career?
Setting up Soca Brainwash sometimes has its challenges, because the reality of trying to get an event ready on Carnival Saturday is Carnival Friday.
Yeah.
And suppliers are late. Sponsors will be coming in because they're coming from several events. They tell you they're on the way, they're giving you the Trinity time. Yeah, right there. And then 5 hours later, they're still not being seen. But, we've gotten accustomed to that, and we're able to adapt, and the team works hard. But, some of the most challenging could have happened recently, just in Miami Carnival last year, when the schedule was that it was going to rain in the morning and then end, but then it ended up raining for the entire day. And and then on top of that, we couldn't set up because the grounds that we used, it was at a school. The grounds were closed because everyone was on hurricane watch, and they they couldn't open up the grounds.
Yeah,
so
nobody could come out.
The whole of Soca Brainwash in 24 hours, and then deal with 24-hour rain for the whole event. Like, there was nothing we could do. Everything was just wet. It just got muddy. Wait.
Yeah,
At that point, it's just like,
That one was that one was rough.
yeah, that was rough. So anyone who's in Miami this year will be like, guys, we're just gonna party the rain. It's just what it is.
That brings us to another really interesting question, because we see Carnival in the context of how we interact with the authorities here in Trinidad. But I remember Soca Brainwash in Miami one year. We spent 4 hours in traffic trying to get to you. And you also have to interact with the authorities in places like Florida and in New York. That means you have to have competency there as well. I'm curious about how the different jurisdictions are managing the introduction of Carnival into their spaces.
I suppose it depends on where, right? Some places try to keep their authentic culture at the center of all of it. But it depends on the event, depends on the brand, what you're trying to achieve. Because for Ryan, he could just find an empty parking lot and do a brainwash, right? And not have much issues, unless it comes down to now service providers and those things. But doing a parade on the street, which I had to get permissions for a lot of, that in itself now is a little bit difficult in some places, because that was one of my concerns with Dubai. Costumes, they're very protective over there about how women wear and whatnot. Carnival is known to be very naked, you know what I mean? Even for me getting permission to do the parade on Hollywood Boulevard, that was a big deal in itself, so it just depends on where you go,
Right. And how much they prepare to accommodate.
Yeah, and what you're trying to do, I guess.
What is your most challenging moment doing an event or hosting something?
Big list, and I think some of them kind of stack up here. Ryan has been around for a couple.
Give me your top 2 most difficult moments.
One would be in the early stages of Hollywood Carnival, to get things going with the bands. Marshall and I decided to do bands. So Marshall had Epic, I had Colors. So we were doing this to kind of just, we need to get people to do these things, but we'll do it in the meantime so people could pick up. And I remember booking a sound system from a guy, fellow Trini, the guy I wouldn't call his name.
A guy.
And the truck never showed up. And all my masqueraders are just there waiting. And I paid this guy all his money up front, A truck came, I think, at the end of the parade, while all my masqueraders were all scattered. So that was one. 2, I did, remember that year I launched Ace?
Yeah.
Marshall concert. And the build out of the venue, what was supposed to be done by the owners of the venue wasn't done. The AC wasn't working, like the entire build out wasn't ready, and I had to still have that concert same night. And that was a real pain. Even Marshall came to do sound check. We weren't even ready for sound check. He was like, Steven, I know this thing, you have real work here left to do. You sure this gonna happen, boy? I'm like, I have no choice, it had to happen. So no sound check.
Show must go on.
Yeah, no sound check. He's like, all right, well, no sound check, we do what we gotta do. And that was really difficult for me because, you're relying on the owners of the venue that, one, they're telling you that they're not allowing you to come and do certain things. They're gonna handle it, they're charging you for it. So now I have to depend on you to get this done. And then when you don't do that, and you don't necessarily, they're Americans, so they don't care about my culture and what these people are thinking or what they feel. It's almost like, okay, we'll just give you back $5,000 off it. We'll give you a discount. Give me a discount. I want my party to happen tonight.
And it has to happen tonight because you can't put it off for next week.
What about the bars that you told me you would have built? Or the guy said you can't do them anymore. And you're now telling me the morning of? So that was one of the craziest ones for me. And a lot of people left and asked for refunds and different things like that. So that was very, very, very.
And those things have a significant impact on your brand. And we know that the way this business works is that your last event or your last song is how you're judged, no matter what you do after. Yeah, that's the definition.
Fine by your last performance, your last event.
And that's the game.
That's why the planning cycle is so long.
Yeah.
For me, it start like I already actually conceptualized Brainwash 2026 already. So we're in. As I said, I live in the future. So the cycle is kind of like a mass man. It goes from when Carnival is over straight to the following Carnival.
Follow us at the Politics of Party on YouTube, Instagram, and join the conversation on TikTok. Because you all have so much activity in other parts of the world, that becomes a continuous cycle of planning, and it's the same with the music, because I know that when the artists finish producing music for one carnival, they then immediately start doing the next. And I want to jump into music now and ask, so both of you, so to the audience, these guys are multi-talented men. They have all kinds of different areas that they delve into when it comes to carnival and culture. They also both produce music. So I want to find out, What's your favorite song that you ever did as a producer? Your personal favorite, the one you love the most, and also, what is the most difficult collaboration?
Ah, boy, favorite song I ever produced?
Yeah.
Hmm. It's a hard one because I have a couple of favorites. But I really enjoyed Family.
Okay.
I enjoyed Family. I enjoyed Vent with Tedison John. Those two for me, I put a lot of feeling into, a lot of time, a lot of, you know, Family was quick. It just kind of happened quick. So really and truly for me, I more or less kind of just, it kind of just, I brought the piece to Skinny and then everything just kind of, but the process of getting it out properly, the artwork, the different things that we had to go through, that was really good for me. It was interesting going through that, dealing with the different heads and different personalities. It wasn't bad at all, you know, right? So that was fun. With Vent, with Tedison, it just kind of flowed, you know. Everything felt good about it. He was very accepting to some of the suggested changes, you know, even on the production side and things that I wanted to add and do. So that felt really good, and you know, it was very successful as well too. So yeah, we're going into difficult
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, man, let's do the difficult ones.
Boy, I think that I'll just give you general. Like almost every project that we work on now is difficult. Almost every artist we have to deal with now is difficult. It's become a chase. All right, I can tell you that. Like it was always constant. Like yo, messaging this one, yo, da 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 da. When are you gonna get it done? You're gonna record. Da, da, da. Sometimes he has to ask me to ask artists, yo, make sure to do it. You know, it's just become really difficult. I feel like artists get excited now coming up to Carnival, and this is part of the problem we're having. They're getting excited. Carnival coming up. I need to make sure I have my tune out, get my big hit, so I can eat our food in the carnival.
Yeah.
As opposed to us now putting out music year round. And there's a few of the artists, the younger ones that understand it as well, like Mikel Teja and all of them. They're doing it like year round. They releasing music for the whole cycle and not just Trinidad Carnival. So it's become a challenge to really get some of these artists to record things. Even then you get a songwriter and have the demo there ready for them. It's still hard to get them in studio unless Carnival comes.
So I think we just have discovered what is going to be the first class in our Carnival University. It is going to be the art of negotiating with the soca artists. That's a whole master class we need to learn. Yeah. And Ryan, what about you? What is your favorite song? And then talk to me about your most difficult
Oh, you go, I want to
project
say what my
musically.
favorite Ryan song is.
Tell me.
You know it already.
Which
Feel
one?
the Love. I felt that song
Yes.
deserve a Grammy.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, I mean, it's, the answer is Feel the Love.
Yeah.
Feel the Love Feel the Love is a new age, timeless classic. And it was made. I held on to that song for 2 years, from inception to when it actually came out, and it came out at the right time. But just unfortunate that they didn't get to tour that year because the pandemic happened, because it came in 2020. And I actually conceptualized that as the theme song for Soca Brainwash for Wonderland, the 5-year anniversary. That's actually when I made it. But then, you know, in terms of getting it to where it landed, it was a 2-year process. So sometimes you see how greatness could take that effort, and then the end result was Feel the Love, which to this day still plays in Carnival. And like, you know how people are very sensitive when they think, you know, don't play too much old music because, you know, they never say that about Feel the Love.
So tell me now, what is your most difficult collab?
Most difficult collab? Let me see. I don't think I've had like a really difficult one, but I'll echo what Steven said.
They're trying not to say the truth about the
No.
difficulty.
I really am trying to. I was literally sitting here thinking, you know, what has been a difficult collab? Who is difficult to get like together? And I don't really think I have any difficulties, because the collabs, like even when I put Patrice and Freetown, we went in studio together. Anytime I'm with Mila and Second and all of them, they work. I just recently worked with Marshall. I mean, we were working for days on that Jupiter and Marshall and getting Lady Lava. We had to track her down to get. She was traveling, but we like it was like at the last one, I was like, Marshall, if we don't get her today, we might have to press, because we have a time we want to release this, and we got her, and she was in. Sometimes it's difficult, my friend, Skinny, wine for your friend. And it ended up being like the biggest and most streamed song on it. Like he sent a verse and then sent a second verse. I'm like, Skinny, how am I going to put this out? And then I sent him an edit where I just chopped up his voice. He's like, give me a drink. And I called I said, Stephen,
Sure.
yo. And then he sent it back, and then we were able to get on the project. So like little things, we could laugh about it, but like in the moment you're like, yo, this is holding back everything, you know what I'm saying?
So guys, just to tell you all, Stephen is kind of known as one of the problem solvers in the industry. So if you're having a challenge, call DJ International Stephen. He's your guy. So thank you so much. I mean, guys, this is the Politics of Party. We're filming here at Decky's. We're going to take a quick break and come right back. Follow us at the Politics of Party on YouTube, Instagram, and join the conversation on TikTok. So guys, what do you think, since you started in the business, 23 years for you, Stephen, and 30 for Ryan, you guys have been in this industry for a long time. You're stalwarts now, unfortunately, even though you don't want to consider yourself like that. You guys are the grandfathers of the game. If there is a grandfather of the game. Maybe more, yeah, no, I know y'all were talking that.
Yeah. No, grandfathers of this.
I knew that would get a reaction out of them. I knew that. So, what do you think is the most significant change you've seen in the business when you started up to now?
Just more. There's just more of everything. It was simpler in those times when, as I say, you've seen the journey of Trinidad being the carnival.
Yeah.
To there being several carnivals. There are more artists, there are more events, there's just more. And more comes with good, because it comes with the fact that there's a wealth of things and talent and people trying to do things. But it also comes with the unfortunate crab and barrel fight down and bitterness that comes on the other side of things when people don't get things their way, or money is involved, and a lot of greed and backstabbing and wondering why this person is bigger than who, and who has a big song, and who has a better party, and no, I'm going to put my party on this day, and it
think
becomes.
it was a kind of industry when you first started?
It
was kind of more cooperative.
Maybe not. Maybe because sometimes these stories, which is why forums like this we talk about it. Maybe we just weren't privy to these stories of the simpler times, and there were a lot of things that went on, and we just were patrons at the time, enjoying the end products. But the end product came with a lot of things. It's just like now that we're on the other side of things, and we're dealing with it on a larger scale and everywhere, we're feeling it. So it's part of it.
I think I agree there. I think the growth, just the ability to now be able to work every weekend somewhere different. That's great for me. There's so many different festivals and carnivals all over the world, so you don't have to necessarily wait to work Miami Carnival alone or New York alone. Every weekend there's something going on somewhere
around
something
the world.
big, and the thing with carnival weekends or festival weekends, you're doing multiple events in that weekend, as opposed to you just taking a booking here for a one-off. You know what I mean? So that's been good. What else, boy? I think the evolution of the music is exciting.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking. Yeah,
The evolution of the music is really exciting for me. Some of the collaborations. Now you see people like Nicki Minaj and these people coming back into the culture. These are mega stars. Yeah. Right. And there's others that's looking at the culture and loving it. So many celebrities come to Trinidad for Carnival every year. Yeah. And some of these people have interest. So it's just a matter of time before you start getting these big features. Or look at Marshall on Tiny Desk.
I mean, that was, oh my gosh, that was fantastic.
To me, the Grammy's not far.
I
agree with you 100%.
So that's exciting.
100%.
I made a tweet. Just funny you asked that, because I made a tweet or what you just over what you said, that expecting, let's say, because of course my soca started 2015 is got on to be like one of the most, if not the most downloaded soca mix of all time, right? And that actually, we talked about Jamaica's love for soca. It actually started Jamaica loving soca to the point where if you look at the charts, 2015 soca is still trending in their charts
Yeah.
to this
Wow.
day. Yeah, it is. It actually
That's so good to know.
1, 2, 3.
literally 2015 converted people to soca, right? But with a year like that and the standard that was set that year with songs that have gone on to be in every soca party in the world, from Like a Boss, Party Done, Duckin', Vagabond, rest in peace to Ricardo Drew, all these songs that created this like unattainable kind of standard right now because people holding on to it, and I think it's so good. They're holding on to that sound of soca, and it's actually holding them back from accepting the new songs.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because there's a lot of new interesting things that are being done. So they sound like we have One Piece, we have Cocoa and these things don't sound like Whatless and other things that came before, but people are holding on to like those things, So
Is it that they're
they
holding on
change.
to a sound or a standard
And a feeling.
and a feeling?
I think feeling is number one.
Right.
Right. They felt good with these songs, and when they hear them together, it makes me feel good.
And my question to you is, finally, is that what we should be doing? Because the next question was going to be, what do you think the industry needs to be looking forward to and doing as we embrace this 70 carnivals all over the world, these millions of people who are now watching us, who are looking at us? What do we need to do in terms of our industry? What should we be looking for?
I think we're on track, right? I think every year you see development in all areas of this carnival product. Promoters that's been doing it for a while, they learn. They step up their game. Their decor and their setup gets better. Their operation gets better, right? I think it's already heading in that direction. I don't know that there's a specific thing that I can pinpoint that would really help us at this time. I feel like education, understanding, appreciating what it takes to do these things. That's big for me. Carnival College or University. Yeah. I think that's key. Even on the music side, I feel like the sound is being developed even more. Like you're getting better mix and masters. When you play soca from today on a loudspeaker and play soca from 10 years ago on a loudspeaker, the clarity of that sound is different. That bass hits you different. You know what I mean? So we're already heading in the right direction. I think it's not one thing that I could pinpoint to say we have to do or should be doing.
Yeah, I think for me the important thing is the creation of industry. So industry doesn't revolve around us coming together for 2 months to create the festival. It means that we need to put all the things in place for us to have a sustainable enterprise that runs throughout the year. So I think like even in terms of the music industry, artists being registered properly, they have the right infrastructure to release their music. They have plans in place. We get corporate involved to sponsor some of these artists, get visuals, or do things. So that's on the music side. You have government who could get involved in helping the promoters as well too, who are one of the things that attracts people to the country is not just the carnival. The carnival is one of the golden stars of the weekend, right? And the tradition, right? So that's where I'm gonna go. So it's not just about the carnival on the road, the amplification investment in Pan, getting the people involved in it. They have the cultural aspects in terms of all the cultural events, and then to supporting the industry. The promoters have events that actually bring people into the country. So there are people who literally fly in for marquee events, and some people don't even play carnival, but but collectively look at how many people go to the events. So it means then that they have to pay attention to the product of the events and what we're putting out to the world, because that in itself is if you look at the week of carnival, a week-long festival.
Yeah. It's a critical income generator for our country.
And then now it's shifted to not just the week before, you realize that now it's the week after as well. Because now you realize that the extension of the week are going straight down to Last Jam. Now you see the cool down events and all those things. And and that's granted, Ash Wednesdays also we go into a more religious, time then. But the foreigners who are on vacation, they take their last, here. So then how are we supporting Tobago? How are we supporting, what happens in Trinidad to make it a thing where for 2 weeks, Trinidad is the focal point of the international market,
Yes.
right? How are we helping with even the cruises that are coming our week? Is tourism looking at that? Because, of course, we have a hotel problem and not enough rooms.
Which is why the cruise ship
Right.
became sensible.
Right. So the cruise ship became sensible. How are we helping those initiatives? How are we helping promote it? How are we creating a sustainable ecosystem? Can the transport handle so many people in the country?
Yeah.
Can our traffic management handle it? Do we need to evaluate how we regulate traffic systems and all those things when people are in the country because we have gridlock? Like, are we putting caps on how much Airbnbs and other things could charge because it's now prohibited? So there's so many. We could go through a list of things that I think are needed to help the environment
to facilitate
that everybody benefits from.
Yeah.
So it's not even about an individual. It's like holistically the industry will benefit from collective contribution.
And I think it's a lack of education. That's why it goes back to this educating people. They don't understand. They don't know. Some people just don't know what it takes to put on some of these things. They don't know the effects of a brainwash at the traffic. Like the effects. They don't know what stems from that. You know what I mean? So I think it goes right back to education again too. Like even with me, I've done marketing courses, with governments in St. Lucia to develop artists, teach them things about their intellectual property and stuff like that. A lot of people don't know. I remember a 2-time Calypso Monarch asking me, what is a producer? You won 2 Calypso Monarchs and you don't know what a producer is. You know what I mean? So just basic education too, I think, is missing in a lot of these things. Some people just see that, that's a fit, I go in there. To put that on, there's a lot of moving parts, and that education is missing.
Yeah, our job is to it's like coordinated madness.
Yeah. That's really fantasy chaos, right?
Yeah. It's coordinated chaos. Well, what you do is you take a blank slate, and your job is to create this environment that nobody sees what's happening in the background. All you see is what's in front of you. But you don't realize there's several people, literally
hundreds
of people,
cases,
from security to food vendors to who's cooking to who's handling the screens to who is managing the park. It was like when you start to everything, it comes together, and you need to piece together that puzzle for it to make sense.
And sometimes when one piece is missing or it goes bad, it could affect everything.
Because then you have to adjust, but you have to be fluid. And that's where in this industry, again, it comes back to education. It keeps coming back to that word. People who are trained and have the experience to be able to handle things in a calm manner so that they could be methodical in terms of how they solve problems, problem solving. So all these things, critical thinking. So, yeah.
I'm your host, Paige. That's a wrap for today's edition of the Politics of Party. Until next time, stay safe and stay true to the party.